Yeah, come, come, whoever you are welcome here. No matter your age, your size, the color of your eyes, your hair, your skin, you are welcome here. No matter your gender, whom you love, how you speak, or whatever your abilities, you are welcome here. You're welcome here, whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears. No matter what you've experienced in the past, no matter what awaits in the future, you are welcome here. Whether you believe in God all of the time, some of the time, or none of the time, you are welcome here. This is a community of open minds, loving hearts, and willing hands. You are welcome here at South Valley Unitarian Universalist Society. And good morning. Good morning. Oh, that's great. Hi, I'm Brenda. My pronouns are she and her, and I welcome you all here, especially those who are here for the first time and have found us. I'm so glad to know that you were able to do that and that you're joining us and bringing your presence. A warm welcome to everyone here. Our worship team is, it takes a village, and so I don't have my list, but there is Rob, who is our religious education director. There is, of course, our minister, Reverend Laura. There is John Allen and Rick, who do the music. There's the choir. There's Steve Carter back there in the sound booth. Brenda Julander, our new admin, is making sure this streams to those who are watching from home. And I'm sorry if I forgot somebody, but it takes a lot of us, and it takes all of us to be here together and create this worship. There's a few announcements. Next week is our annual bread communion, and that is a beloved tradition here, and everyone is welcome to come and to bring bread, and it will become our communion together. And if you forget the breads, come anyway and partake. There's always plenty. And that is also going to be added to this year, to have soup downstairs afterward to go with the bread. So please do plan to join in on all of that next Sunday. And then the weekend of Thanksgiving, we are not having worship here. Don't come to this building. Do come to this building, but don't come in the building. You're going to go to the Jordan River and clean and pick up trash on the Jordan River as a service project. So we are hoping to have someone who will oversee that, kind of coordinate that. And if you're interested to do that, please see Brenda, again, Julander, in the office and let her know you're interested to help with that. And now let's share the warmth of community. Just get up, say hi, however you'd like to do that with each other, and bring ourselves here. Thank you. Oh, dang it. Okay, and let's continue this in our social time after church. I did forget a few people. We are going to hear from Dion Corkins and Elaine Totten from our social action group today, so looking forward to that. Our opening hymn, please stay standing, sorry. Please stay standing for our opening hymn 352, Find a Stillness. It's in your gray hymnal 352. Please stay standing, thank you. We're going to light our chalice, and we're going to have Tiela come up and help us do that. The words that we say together are in the orders of service. And while Tiela lights it, let's go ahead and say those words. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and for the energy of action.
You can be seated. And I'd like to invite any of our young people or young parents to join me up here if you'd like. Is that not? Oh, okay. Hey, Tiela. Hey, Taylor. Hey, Isaac. Tessa, Jenny. Leo, good to see you. Hey, Max. Hey, Mark. Hey, Mia. Good to see you all. Welcome, welcome. Hey, Ethan. Oh, good morning. Great to see you all this morning. I see some of us are yawning because we were just here yesterday evening, some of us for our auction, our kids' auction. That was a lot of fun. It was good to see a lot of you there yesterday, and good to see you all this morning. And something that I've been thinking about is, we, goodness, are so fortunate, I think, that for most of us, when we go to bed at night and when we wake up in the morning and as we're going about our day, we probably came from a warm place that we were sleeping the night before, right? And gosh, I see so many families in our city, in our community, for whom they may not know from one night to the next if they're going to be able to find a safe, warm shelter. And that would be really hard to not know from one night to the next if you were going to have a place to stay at night and wake up from a nice warm place. And it's hard to imagine having to worry about something like that, but that's a very real thing for so many families with kids your age in our community. And in fact, on Thursday, Reverend Laura and many people from this community were down at the Capitol because there is a shelter downtown for families and it was getting full. So there were families with kids your age who were having to get turned away because they weren't able, the shelter was full. And so can you imagine having this chance at having that warm night of sleep and not being able to have that? So there are lots of people in our community who are working to be sure that for folks who may be experiencing homelessness, even if it's just from time to time, that we have enough places to keep them warm. It's really important. And this all kind of reminded me of a song that some of you might remember we've sung a couple of times in our children's chapel time now, and it's called Sanctuary. Do some of you remember singing that song? Yeah. What I love about that song, I think I described to you when we sang it, is that it reminds me that a sanctuary is not just this room in a building. A sanctuary is really anywhere that is made sacred, made special by how safe you feel when you are there. A sanctuary is anywhere that is made special and sacred by how safe you feel when you are there. And so I think for many people, a home can really mean anything. It might be in one place at one time, it might be in another place in another time. So kind of the feeling of having a home is kind of in your heart. And so sometimes I say that some of the folks in our community are experiencing houselessness because maybe they don't have some place that they call home, that safe place, kind of that sanctuary that they feel. And so I'm hopeful that we'll be able to continue to work with our community to make sure that our friends and even maybe people our families know who need a safe place to stay. If you remember the words, I'll tell you the words to our sanctuary song once, and then see if we can sing it through once. Some of our friends remember the words. The words are, love, prepare me to be a sanctuary, strong and loving, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. So that's a lot of words. So I'll sing it through once. If you remember the song, you can join in with me, and then we'll sing it again a second time, okay? Love, prepare me to be a sanctuary, strong and loving, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Oh gosh, your voices are beautiful. Let's do that one more time. Love, prepare me to be a sanctuary. Nice. Strong and loving, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Lovely. Thank you all. If you'd like to join our RE classrooms, our activities with our companions this morning, we can go downstairs. We also have Ethan Barnett, who's our child care provider this morning, downstairs for our kids 3 and younger. All right. Okay, let's go downstairs.
It is good to be together. I'll talk quietly. I know some of us are a little bit on the tired side this morning, I just want to take a moment to thank the auction team for putting on such a wonderful event last night. Kristen, Marilyn, Colin and the band, and Brenda and Maria Anderson, who just really dedicated themselves to letting us have our first in-person auction in 3 years. So that was wonderful. Yay. I am the Reverend Laura Young, and my pronouns are she, her, and her, and I am so happy to be with you. And in fact, I kind of want to invite you to come a little forward because it's kind of blank right there in the middle. And I want to welcome our online audience as well. So if you feel comfortable sort of scooting in, I won't make you, but I encourage you to do that. As we gather this morning, let us be mindful that this land has been inhabited by thousands of years. And especially, we want to pay attention that this land has been the ancestral homeland of the Shoshone, Paiute, Goshute, and Ute tribes. And through our work as Unitarian Universalists, we seek to honor the complicated history that resulted in their land being taken from them. And we work for justice for them and for healing for the whole of the world and all of its people. This community is sustained by our togetherness, not just through our programs, through choir, and through pastoral care, and through social justice projects, but also by the gifts of your talent, your time, and your treasure. And we take an offering each Sunday to support the work of the ministry of this church, and we share in our offering on Sundays with another organization that aligns with our values. And this season, for November and December, our split offering recipient is the Christmas Box International, which is a local organization here that provides emergency shelter, support to teens transitioning out of foster care, and holiday joy to children and youth through gift drives. And their mission is really simple. Every child deserves a childhood. So I invite you now to join me in reading our offertory words. They're in your order of service if you had the QR code, and if not, just follow along and you will catch on. We are this church. We are its hands, its heart, and its voice. Together we share the wealth of this community and sustain it with our gifts. I invite the ushers to come forward at this time. For all we have found the courage to give, may we be truly grateful. May these gifts be a blessing on South Valley and on Christmas Box International. This time, I invite all of you gathered here in the sanctuary, as well as those online, to participate in our ritual of joys and sorrows. At the front here, there is a bowl with water and stones. You're invited to come to the front and place a stone in the water. Just represent anything that is in your heart that is either of joy or of sorrow or something in between. We conduct this ritual in silence and hold space for one another. For those in the online community, I encourage you to use the chat box to share with one another. Those gathered here may now begin to process to the front. Two final stones. One, for those in our online community, we see you, we hear you, and with this stone, we are connected to you. And for that which remains unstated, but still held in the heart. I invite you now to continue the silence. We've been practicing our meditation with one another these last few months. This morning, we will hold silence with one another for 3 minutes, working toward that 4-minute mark. So I will ring the gong at the beginning and at the end. And I would just remind you that you don't have to close your eyes for meditation. You can leave them open. You don't have to be still. This is not a stillness exercise. It is an exercise in being quiet, not necessarily in being still. So, however you find yourself preparing for meditation, thank you for your practice.
by J.P. Anthony. A measure of society is its attitudes to vulnerability. Do we measure up? When I see people huddled, sleeping bags, not the comfy bed in a warm room? Do we measure up when we have such fear of saying, I'm struggling, inside I'm crumbling, where a frank conversation is seen as a revelation? A measure of society is its approach to vulnerability. When we walk by, do we measure up?
Good morning, everyone. So nice to see some familiar faces after our get-together last night with fantastic live music and delicious treats and fundraising for our church. I love being a part of South Valley, and I love that piece, one that includes a band. Someone posted on social media the pictures from South Valley last night, and someone's response was, "This is your church?" And their response was, "Yes, this is my church." Church doesn't ever seem like the right word for me because I grew up in a religion that's very quiet. Some of you may be familiar with it. No laughter, no clapping after songs. No evenings with saxophone solos that blow your socks off. And this is such a beautiful place for me, one where I feel comfortable and I feel safe. I loved the children's chapel message today about sanctuary. The sanctuary is someplace where you feel safe, and it's up to all of us to build that sanctuary. It's not the same when people are gone without contributions from all of us. It's just a building. But with the people, it's a party, and it's a place to come together and serve our community. One of the ways that we do that at South Valley is through our social action that we do. We have a minister who goes up to Capitol Hill and rallies for the people who are struggling and who need a voice. We have our Homeless Youth Resource Center meals that we're doing two each month in November and December, including dinner on Christmas Day. Can you imagine a more wonderful place to be on Christmas evening than serving meals to our children and our community who don't have anywhere else to be? I invite all of you to sign up for those opportunities since we have 2 in November and 2 in December. Susan Izagari sends those emails out every month, and you can check out the dates, respond to the emails. One of the ways that I love to volunteer with my family is once a month, we go to the food bank and pick up food and deliver it for people who don't have a way to go get their food. I signed up for it maybe 6 years ago through South Valley when I was always one of the quiet ones that would slip in the back, listen, and then run out as soon as it was over because I didn't want anyone to talk to me yet. I didn't feel the sanctuary. But now that I do and love coming every week, I invite you to join with us in service as well. Our service there at the food bank was to complete a class and then sign up to deliver food. So I've had probably 8 different people throughout the 6 years. I do 4 at a time where I pick up the food, sign it out. Some people have a federal food grant, and so they get a little bit more than our folks that just sign up in our community. One of the people I deliver food to, he lives downtown and he's a quadriplegic. He has no way to go to the food bank. He has someone who comes in and helps prepare his meals, and he has family members that are there when I come bring his food sometimes. It's
it's a challenge because he lives in a locked building downtown, and even if I call, he can't get to the door to come let me in. And so it's a matter of asking people in the front of the building, hey, can you let me in? I'm with the food bank. Or his room's right in front, and I'll bang on his window and he'll yell, just a minute. And he'll call his family member who lives up the street, who comes down and lets me in. Sometimes we visit, once I walked in and there was a really strong smell of marijuana, and he kept saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And I said, I'm not here to judge, I'm here to bring you your food from the food bank. Another one is blind. He also lives in the ballpark area with his friend who struggles with addiction. And even our neighbors who are struggling with addiction deserve food. We're not here to judge, we're here to prepare and to share with them. So for them, sadly, they live on the 3rd floor. A couple months ago, I dropped his gallon of milk, the thump, the thump, the thump, and then psh, all over the place. I get my arm workout in, lifting up the packages. And a couple of the people we've lost. One of them was a woman who's my age, who was from New Orleans and had suffered homelessness for a long time and had come here after Katrina. And 1 month she just didn't answer her door, and her neighbor said, oh, I'm sorry, she passed away. Like this sense of loss when we lose those in our community that we serve, it just shows how the grief is reminds us that we loved them. That's how I like to look at grief. And when she passed, I was grateful for the opportunity to pop in her apartment once a month and sit down and practice my French with her. It's pretty rusty after all these years of my Mormon mission in Quebec, but it's one of the wonderful things that I took with me from that religion into my new home. At the food bank, we also have an opportunity coming up in December to go sort food. It's an activity for the whole family. If you'll watch in the announcements that come out, we're going to have 2 different signups for a Monday evening, one from 5:30 to 6:30 and one 6:30 to 7:30 for those who the schedules work better. But I just invite you to find little things that you can do this holiday season to share the joy and the blessings that we have with those in our community. And that's one thing I love about South Valley, is the opportunity that highlights that, especially the service today. And we'll have several opportunities throughout the month to help provide diapers for children who are homeless, to provide clothes. To the Crossroads, we're going to have someone from Christmas Box International come to our service and speak about their organization and how our funds are assisting them in providing service. So thank you to all of you for being here, for the little things that you do. I'm the one at the mic today, but I know many of you also donate of your time, not only to making our building beautiful, the outside, the inside, donating your time to create beauty for all of us. And I just want to thank you for doing that and for letting me be a part of the joy this congregation brings to our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Dion and Elaine, and to the Social Action Council for your ongoing dedication to helping us grow into our advocacy. I also want to say a special thank you to the CUPS group for their diaper drive and clothing drive that they helped organize earlier this month. And I would invite you, as Elaine said, to look for those service opportunities this next month. Our community, this community, not just the one inside this wall, these 4 walls, the greater Salt Lake metro area has a long and deep history, a deep commitment to family. And of course, part of this stems directly from the dominant culture of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which culturally has a strong focus on family. But another part of this is the network of governmental and nonprofit agencies that collaborate to meet the needs of our friends and neighbors who are experiencing houselessness. Our part, the part of this community, is to be responsive and responsible members of this wider community, to partner with our faith partners across the progressive clergy and community churches here, as well as the non-progressive ones with whom we share a common interest in ensuring that people have a safe and equitable place to have be a sanctuary for them. We are also called to pay attention. We're called to pay attention, to not just be a people who just read the news and then move on with our day. We're called to be a people who pay attention and who step in and do advocacy and support efforts that are in alignment with our values. And in this, we're guided by several faith commitments. We're guided by our faith commitment to equity and justice in human relations and our insistence that every person is vested with worth and dignity. Directly responding to emerging and immediate needs is a critical part of what we do. When Volunteers of America sent a call for blankets and warm jackets a few weeks ago, we responded. This, along with a diaper drive and our monthly meals at the Homeless Youth Center, are important efforts in being responsive as a community. Individuals reaching out and organizing to help other individuals in need provides immediate relief. And in this way, we live into our values as a community. And it is not the only way that we show up for our friends and neighbors in need. Because direct response, of course, is limited to its immediacy, and it does not dismantle systemic inequality or economic disparity. For that, we have to be engaged in the political process. And by politics, let me be really clear, it's the exercise of power. It's not about who you vote for, it's that you vote. It's not about what program or policy you believe is the right approach. It's being engaged to ensure that those policies and programs that are active in our community are ones that pay attention to the impact that they're having. And being involved in the political process means holding our leadership at the community, state, and federal level accountable to equity and fairness. So while it's very important to continue to do food and clothing drives, it's important to remember that systemic change takes time. The systemic change takes time. And a hungry or cold teenager does not have time to wait for systemic change to happen. They need relief right now, so we do our immediate action. But we also pay attention to the need for advocacy. Being an advocate in the political process means paying attention in at least a couple different ways. First, it's paying attention to how systems are currently functioning. Second, it's paying attention to what the pressures are on those systems, what those pressures are and how they may be changing over time. We pay attention to funding, to how services are delivered, how they're distributed across the community, and if there are gaps that need to be addressed to ensure equity and justice. We pay attention to local conditions that may be exacerbating problems. For example, in this community, the rising cost of living and the arrival of colder weather. Advocacy also means acknowledging those systems of oppression that create systemic traumas for those who are struggling to just make it through this day and the next day with a roof over their heads. An effective advocacy requires building relationships with community partners and being willing to put political pressure on leaders to act. Sometimes that last part is a little uncomfortable, the direct advocacy to political leaders. In August of 2020, after I'd just been here a few weeks with you at South Valley, our community hosted the TPS Alliance, which was doing advocacy work around immigration issues. And their bus came through town and we hosted them in our sanctuary overnight. Immediate relief. The following morning, I joined the activists at their press conference in front of Senator Romney's office in downtown Salt Lake City. At that point, and maybe still, I was not particularly familiar with downtown. And I barely knew anyone outside of the search committee. And the idea of speaking at a press conference was a little overwhelming. I remember that finding parking was very difficult, and I got lost in trying to find the correct building. It's not like it has a sign, this is Senator Romney's office. It's just a monolithic skyscraper. Plus, your directions here are crazy. 600 north, 300 south. I have no idea what direction I'm facing. Now I know east is that way. Once I arrived, I felt really nervous about speaking to those news cameras that were set up, as well as the fact that shortly after we arrived, a large group of protesters were also arriving, calling on Romney to act to block the process of replacing Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the Supreme Court. So there's a large group of people, and then like our tiny press conference over here. And so this is all happening, and I'm feeling very nervous. So I get through the press conference, and as I'm waiting for like sort of the next steps from the TPS Alliance leaders, the leader comes up and approaches me from TPS and says, "There are a lot of people gathered over there. I don't know if you notice." And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Those are our people too. They care about the work that we're doing too. I want you to go over there and get them to let us speak." So for an introvert such as myself, this was pretty far outside my preferred sandbox. But I looked that organizer in the eyes and I said, yes, I will make that happen. So over there I went and I introduced myself and asked to speak to the folks in charge of speaking. And 15 minutes later, there I was again, yelling into a microphone and using my privilege as a Unitarian Universalist minister with 2 weeks experience in Salt Lake City to make space for my TPS companions to speak truth to power. It was the first time as a minister that I ever dared to speak so publicly and so boldly. Belonging to a beloved community such as South Valley is what makes that possible. Belonging to a beloved community such as South Valley is what makes that possible. And all of us can grow our skills in advocacy. We can become more confident and more skillful. It's not a natural born skill, not even for me. I've had to work for every bit of courage along the way. And part of my role here is to let you know that I'm shaken literally in my boots every single time I have to do that. And that I need you, and I need your support to be able to continue to do that. And you need each other to be able to continue to step into that as well. And together, our unified voice can make a difference. This doesn't mean that everybody is going to start showing up for the next protest. I get it. Not everyone wants to show up at a protest. Some people have mobility issues, or it's just not their thing. But everybody can step in to support our efforts to create that political pressure to make change. Because leadership does not change because it's convenient for them. Leadership does not change because they know it's the right thing to do. Because we all know what the right things to do are. Leadership changes because we make it inconvenient for them not to change. The reason we have equal marriage in the United States is because we made it inconvenient enough that our leadership had to pay attention and grant equal access to marriage. That's the only reason, not because they thought it was a great idea, because a lot of them didn't. A lot of them didn't. We made it inconvenient for them. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on here in this community right now regarding our homeless friends and neighbors. A little bit of background context. So several years ago in 2017, the decision was made to separate families in need of shelter from the single adult population here in Salt Lake County. And this was for the safety and the well-being of the families. A new family dedicated shelter was built in Midvale, and efforts to move families more quickly from temporary to permanent housing was ramped up. And as a result, the need for emergency hotel vouchers, which is a voucher you can get so that your family can stay in a local hotel or motel, that need was reduced. And at the time, it was determined that there would be 40 hotel vouchers available each week, which doesn't seem like enough to me in a state of 3.3 million, but that was what the decision was made. However, now there are only 10 vouchers available each week. And doesn't seem like 10 could even begin to be adequate to meet the needs of families experiencing homelessness in Salt Lake County, which has a population of 1.2 million people. And certainly it has not been meeting the needs this fall. In September, for the first time in decades, the family shelter had to turn away families. A lot of families, 78. They turned 78 families away in September. The rapidly escalating cost of housing and inflation has pushed many families from their stable housing and out into their cars, into their RVs, into camping, and into the streets. Most families that lose their housing do so over $300 to $1,000 as a gap. $300 to $1,000 as a gap, and they lose their housing. We're not talking about a large amount of money here that pushes people out. And the eviction system in Utah is the most harsh in the country. Trying to find housing after an eviction in this state is worse than having declared bankruptcy. The result is we have babies and toddlers sleeping outside right now in Salt Lake. The weekend of October 22nd and 23rd was the first truly cold weekend we had here in the Valley. The Coalition of Religious Communities and Crossroads Urban Center, who are a few of our community partners here at South Valley, held a rally outside the governor's mansion, calling upon the governor and legislature to take immediate and emergency action. The request was as follows. 1, provide emergency shelter for families through the hotel voucher system with case management support. Make a total of 50 vouchers available each week to provide the necessary gap coverage. Convert an existing motel into a new shelter for families to handle the increased need. Provide funding to spur the creation of supportive housing for families headed by parents with disabilities, a group of families particularly vulnerable to housing loss in our current economy. These 3 policy shifts will cost $20 million. It sounds like a significant amount of funding, and yet the state of Utah currently has a budget surplus of $2 billion. So we're asking for 1%. In response to the rally, Utah State's homeless coordinator, Wayne Niederhauser, issued the following statement. We are aware of unhoused Utah families in need of shelter and are actively working with service providers, cities, counties, and advocates to create safe options for them as part of our 2022-2023 winter overflow plan. In Salt Lake County, there will be hotel, motel vouchers available for families provided by the Road Home, and additional resources are being explored throughout the state. This is now the second week of November, and no additional vouchers have yet been granted. It snowed on Wednesday night in the Valley, and it is very cold this week. This past week, Crossroad Urban Center and the Road Home and powerful moms who care, and local clergy, including myself, hosted a call to action and a press conference to again call upon the governor and the legislature to take immediate action by calling for an emergency legislative session to address those needs. It was in the paper over the weekend, on Saturday or Friday, I believe. And Governor Cox's response was to acknowledge that the state indeed has ample funding for hotel and motel vouchers, but that there are not enough rooms or caseworkers to accommodate those needs. And he expressed gratitude for the advocacy of providers seeking solutions. Thanks. He literally said, in the season of Advent, there is no room at the inn. There is no room at the inn in Salt Lake City. We all know that addressing homelessness is complicated, that providing case management and supportive services takes time and money, and that navigating regulatory requirements can be a mess. But I am beyond frustrated that those with power to respond at a systemic level claim that they need more time to discuss solutions when it is 24 degrees outside, and that we know this crisis was coming in August. To claim there is no room at the end is not good enough. We know what works, and we know what the needs are in real specific terms in this community. We have community partners to respond, and we even have the money. My colleague, Pastor A.J. Bush of the United Methodist Tradition, shared this week in our call that scarcity is not the result of an actual lack of resources. Scarcity is a result of forgetting our connections and commitments to one another. It is a shortfall of moral fortitude and spiritual imagination. Living into our faith means pushing through resistance and red tape to ensure that families have a safe and warm place to sleep at night. Families sleeping in their cars with blankets donated by the shelters is not good enough. I am not claiming that Governor Cox and the legislature do not care. I believe they care. And I think they're missing the mark. Governor Cox and the legislatures who are overwhelmingly called by their faith to serve a God of love and compassion are missing the mark. And if you've heard me preach in the past, you know what missing the mark means. Sin. They are missing the mark pretty badly. And it is only a matter of time before someone, a child perhaps, dies in the cold. And any death that occurs is going to be a horrible tragedy. And the fact that it is entirely preventable, for that I have only this for Governor Cox. There is room at the inn. I know your heart's not closed, but your hand sure is. Let me remind you what the God of Deuteronomy has to say about that. In the Jewish Testament, chapter 15, verse 11, issues the following command from God to the people of Israel, and perhaps to Governor Cox: "For there will never cease to be poor in the land. That is why I'm commanding you to open wide your hand to your brother and to the poor and needy in your land." It does not say, the poor will always be around, so go ahead and ignore them. Or the poor will always be with you, therefore it is inevitable that there will be suffering. And note that it does not say, open your heart. It says, open your hand. Open your hand. The poor will always be with you. Open your hand wide. It means loosen up the purse strings, cut through the red tape with your scissors, and make it happen. God is not particularly interested in how you feel about it. God just says, open your hand and get it done. That's very practical Unitarian Universalist theology, I think. I care about how you feel, but really, in this case, I just want you to open your hand and get it done. No more hand-wringing or political doublespeak, because we have eyes. I have eyes, you have eyes, you have eyes, you have eyes, and we see through. And I would even extend that to say that that is how God sees what's going on, through us. There is room at the inn. Quite literally, there are rooms available in the city next week. They may not be designated for such use, but that could be changed. We did that during COVID with great success. If these families had the funds to stay in a hotel on their own, they would, but they do not. They need us, all of us, to speak the truth here, that there is room at the inn and that we demand that those rooms be made open. That our leadership open their hands immediately to protect each and all of those whom they are elected to protect and serve. Now, as I stand here this week, I am not sure what the next step is here in Salt Lake City. I had hoped that by this morning there would be some news, but there is not. So we wait a few days to see what may yet unfold, where our advocacy may be called for next. And as soon as I know, I will let you know. And then we will take action together as a community. We must make those in power uncomfortable enough that they have to change, so that they have to open their hands in a service of love. And that discomfort that they feel or that you or I feel is a sign that our hands are flexing open to hold in goodness the promise of who we can be as a shared humanity, a human kind, and a kind human. May it be so.
Let's take a moment to breathe in deeply these inspired words of Reverend Laura. To remember what she's made us feel and think right now, and know that we will use this. Thank you. We extinguish the chalice and then sing. So if you'd like to rise to extinguish the chalice and then stay standing for number 18, we'll sing together. The words are in that order of service. We extinguish this chalice, but not the warmth of love, the light of truth, or the energy of action, and we hold each other in our hearts until we meet again.
What wondrous love is this, O my soul, O my soul? What wondrous love is this, O my soul? What wondrous love is this that brings my heart such bliss and takes away the pain of my soul, and takes away the pain of my soul. When I was sinking down, sinking down, sinking down, when I was sinking down, sinking down, when I was sinking down beneath my sorrow's crown, friend, with thanks unto the end I will sing.
You may reach across the aisles and hold one another's hands. I'm going to go this way. Yeah. This is a community that cares. She's also welcome here. This is a community that cares. And this is a community that encourages. We've talked a lot about courage in this community, and to encourage is to generate courage in one another. So let us take this week to encourage one another, to step more deeply in to not only just who we are, but who we can be as a community. Let's do it. And we have a wonderful postlude as well. So let's sit down for that too.